All right. Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Paul Trani here. Good to have you guys here. So, yeah, let's get the welcome started and we'll just we'll dive in. We'll have some fun. And again, I'm glad you guys are here hanging out with me. I think this is an important, I don't know, design pro tip or creativity pro tip whenever you are dealing with creative block. So Brandy Shepard, I'm glad you're watching as well. Welcome, Brandy. Good to see you. Awesome. Vikram as well. Frank's in the house. Awesome. Good to have you guys. Stony Braswell, Kellen as well. I don't know why you're so excited. You should be excited. You should be excited. I don't know. Maybe you've had too much coffee. Maybe that's it, though. That happens to me. It's like too much caffeine, and you're like, all of a sudden everything's awesome, and then I want to take a nap. So, yeah, good to have you guys here. Let's jump into this, and we could talk about sort of design contrasts. And again, I think this is pretty important if you ask me. Boom, boom. What do I mean by design contrast? I mean things like this, as you can see. Sort of this is what I mean. It's like life, death, black, white, sort of taking the opposite of a subject, and it could be anything, and just start a list. Even if it's a certain subject matter you're interested in, contrast that with something else. And usually those differences, people are like, oh, you're so creative. What made you think of putting a whale in the sky? Or something like that. So, anyways, Joanna, well then this is for you, Joanna, if you're dealing with creative block. I have just a couple written down right here, sort of like love, hate, large, small, wet, dry, circle, line, right? So they can be abstract or realistic items. All right, cool, Michelle, you are too kind. And yeah, just making sure you guys are seeing everything, and we are good. We should be good. All right, learning design, learning English, having fun. Okay, so we have, soft, rough, rich, poor, high, low, fast, slow, short, tall, like all these contrasts, right? Super, I don't know, I think it's pretty straightforward, but I distinctly remember covering this in art school, and just kind of the impact it had on me. So I hope you guys find this beneficial. I think it's going to be fun. And again, I'm glad you're here. So, and what I did, I should have grabbed the painting, but we did a study in contrasts for art school. So I did of course, a butterfly. Painted a big, I painted this large butterfly. What seemed large was zoom in on it. But basically, if you looked close enough, there was a little guy that was painting the wing of a butterfly. And that was a study in size, right? So large, small. So, all right. All right, cool. So again, this was just the start. I just started thinking of opposites. So let me know if you guys think of any other opposites or I call them contrasts, right? Sort of the opposite of something large, small. And then what you can do is you can take that list and say, hey, you know what? What if you start drawing different parallels? So it could be that you take, for instance, attach, large with realistic, right? So we just start a circle that is rough. Does that make any sense? What is a rich poor person would be good, but what's something that's fast and low, right? So just kind of connecting some of those, sort of your short and dry. I don't know, just these words help spur different ideas is all, right? My favorite subject matter is life and death. I use this all the time, life and death. What a profound subject matter to deal with life and death. which again is why I end up like working on things like this. So again, sort of life, death. You guys always wonder, I'm like, oh, Paul, you're doing skulls and flowers. But that's kind of where it comes from, is just like, I like these contrasts. It's just so profound to think about. So again, this was actually originally a statue. Let's turn off some of this. And yeah, it's gonna get ugly. So just kind of rolling this back, here's like just, you know, again, a statue. And I'm like, okay, this used to be a person that was alive, you know? So it's like, okay, well, let's throw some bones in there, right? And from here, I actually started subtracting those bones like that. So again, just a fun idea. Love it. Kellen. Shame on you, Kellen. But I like it. So what I would do is I would probably even just kind of finish this out. Take me 2 seconds. Since I'm already in here, is I would probably jump in and grab something that sort of like means life. So again, just grabbing a rose, dropping it in, right? This could be sort of signifying life in this case. You have life and death, right? Figuring out which one I want. Let's go with this one, right? Scale it to size. By the way, if you maybe you like or you don't like the new scale properties or how it locks, you could always turn that. Use legacy free transform. So you get the idea. All right, so that's what I drop in here. Let's rotate it. Let's put it up here. Let's get this body started like that. Puppet warp. Pin, pin, pin. And I get it. You can use, you know, some transform, free distort tools if you want to as well. Land and air, perfect. Land and air. So we'll pick one of these. Not to worry. I'm going to finish this up, and we'll pick one as well. But just I would do something kind of like that. There we go. Keep them coming. I like land and air. I like slow and fast. Kellen, man. You're hilarious. I love it. Throw a mask in there, and then we can zoom in and just start to make sure, turning that off, but make sure we have sort of like this thumb, which I already have cut out, actually. There it is. There's the hand. So let's go up here to this rose, now that that's selected, and we'll just paint. B for brush, switch it up. You get the idea. Yeah, would this be, yeah, this would be like that. In front, and then in front like right here, something like that. There we go. Right, creating a little bit of depth. I'd have to sort of create some more static and dynamic. I like it. Oh, classic or modern? Oh, so good. All right, I'm stealing some of these. Actually, I'm just gonna write them down. Taking notes, is that? I don't think that's stealing, Paul. Calm down. Okay, classic / modern. And that goes along with these sculptures, right? So we have this sculpture that's very classic, and you know, contrasting that. Kind of like contrasting realistic with graphic. And think about this, like when you feel like a design is kind of, you're stumped with it, do the opposite of whatever you're doing, because obviously what you're doing isn't working. So just do the opposite. Right, so let's do that. Just jump here. Well, I will maybe not worry too much about digging up. Well, that's actually what we're going to do, is we're going to work on contrasts. But yeah, since you mentioned it, let's do that. Take something classical. Again, that's why I like these sessions, right? Make them interactive, right? Make them fun for you guys. You guys are kind of the art directors today as well, giving me these ideas. It's the brain trust known as Adobe Live. Let's remove that background, right? Bam, there it is, removed. Come in there, throw down just like Simple color, we can see we've knocked that out really fast. More, less, like it. Like, few to many, that would be interesting. One of something versus many of another thing. So many, I think of like ants, and you know, one might be like an elephant. So we're dealing with contrast in size as well as the number of things. Neoclassical, yeah. Oh yeah, getting classy. Right, so what do we do here? We would do, let's do this, jump in. Oh, a little small. We would take something classical, right, like what we have here, and contrast it with something modern. NEUV, Boys to Men. Slow clap. Mike, I love having you here. I don't know how to spell Art Nouveau. Like, that's what I'm doing. Sort of like new art. Sort of old to new art. Here's some items we're going to deal with. Nouveau. Okay, there we go. Okay, it's basically just take all the vowels, cram them together, and that's what Art Nouveau is. That's how you spell it. Just cram all the vowels in there, and that's what you get. So again, we'll just maybe take one or both of those words. But there they are. Ba-ba, scale these down, sort of contrasting these two, by the way. Oh, that's my problem. Check this out, guys. I love it when like something throws me off, right? Because it's like, oh, here's an opportunity to learn. I noticed when I was scaling this, that's why I went to the preferences. I'm like, why is it free distorting this text? It's not locked. It hasn't locked the proportions down. Right up here. If this box ever gets unchecked, you need to make sure it's checked. So it's gonna, oh, that toggles a reference point. Let's see if that does it. What did I do? That, okay, we have show transform controls, Command T. Yeah, so I guess it still remains a mystery. Okay, this is pretty easy. This is very graphic. Let's throw some fun colors in here and get this party started, right? So we have something old and something new. Art Nouveau. Something like that. Take these two. Yeah, we're going to give them a gradient. Yeah, we're going to give this one a gradient. So, lastly, so this is what we're going to do. Even though it's different, we have something organic versus sharp lines. That contrast is interesting to us, just to our eye. We're like, oh, that's interesting, right? Still kind of has this old look. I typically would take this, and if I want to, I still want to like tie the colors together a little better. So if there's, this is so hard to talk about because if there's almost too many contrasts, it looks messy. So you want to do things with purpose, right? You could have all the contrast in the world, and that's what you're doing with purpose. But in this case, I noticed that I need to tie this together like with color, right? So from here, I could take this and get rid of this muddy color. And this is where I think contrasts don't work. A muddy color with something bright, at least in my opinion, doesn't work. By the way, all this is subject to change, and I will probably contradict myself later on. Throw a black and white filter on it, right? Boom, there we are, just on that guy like so. There we have something that's like much cleaner, and then we can start to play with the, you know, the brightness with it, and the contrast, because that throws some levels in there, right? Clip it, shabam. Now let's move on to something else. So we have that. That looks good. That's you know, professor, student, awesome. Like this is already like a step in the right direction. Cool, done, save it. Desktop. So we did sort of classical with something more modern, right? And I just went with modern type. So the colors would make a nice eye-catching advertisement. Good to hear, Joanna. Like, what draws your eye? Like, right? What's making this interesting for you, right? 1,000 different things we could do. We could have been derailed many times, and I'm not even saying that it's finished. But a lot of times I throw a lot at a design, and it's the editing process is where you become the expert, right? Learn how to edit and you'll be a better designer. So, and yeah, I'd probably tweak this some more, but I think this is fine, like as a concept. Okay. Can I move on? Because there's more things that I need to do. And you know, I try to fit as many in here as possible. I wanted to do like a large and small or slow and fast. So when you think slow and fast, you could have obviously like a rabbit and a turtle, right? Large and small, think of something small like an ant and blow it up as large as you could think of, which is what I kind of started to do here, right? It's like, okay, could we take, you know, something slow, right? And something very small and make it really large. So put it in an entirely new environment. So that's what I'm gonna do next, if you guys don't mind. It's like, let's take this adorable little, oh, here's another one. Look at this little, where is he? Oh, there he is. Oh, I need to actually license it, which I will. And it's, oh, this cute little guy. Why, I know I licensed you, buddy. If you're curious where I got this, ooh, here's a nice. So that could work. I got so many images in here that are, it's like so nice that I'm like, hey, wow, I need to use those. Okay. MoveOn.org. Stop it already. Okay, so Adobe Stock. You could always search under free if you want to. In this case, I need to search for snail. Just your type. Oh man. Okay, so I did license it. I just didn't import the right one. So let's do that really fast. Windows 95 mood, exactly, which totally turns me on. Now that you said that, definitely not gonna use that picture. There's our lovely snail. There you are, beautiful. Let's pick a background for it to go in. And again, just putting it into this huge environment, trying to figure out which one would be best. Like this one would be nice because of the lighting. This one's nice. And what I'm actually doing, since I'm gonna do some Photoshop compositing, I'm thinking about different little tricks that I can do to just kind of like fool your eyes. So I'm looking for depth. Like if I could put the snail just beyond that ridge and do a reflection, like this would be an easy image to do that with. This one actually could be kind of fun. As I talk about it, like I'm drawn to it like more and more. But let's, you know, let's take a look. Shabam. This one's nice. We'd have to match the color, but I don't like that there's nothing in. I want to have depth, so I want to have some things in front of this giant snail and some things behind, and some other little tricks to make it look like it's part of that environment. That one's okay. Again, right here, is it? No, I'm just not even going to talk about some of these. This one's nice. Okay, so this is typically how I work, by the way. Do you guys do this, Bruce? Like I like will download a lot of images, right? Maybe I sync them to my Creative Cloud library, and then I load them into a stack. So that's what's happening here, is go into scripts and load all those files that you downloaded into one PSD. Everything is on its own layer. So that's why I have this named the way it is. And I can access any image that I want. I think I'm gonna go with this one. Let's do it. Let's get this party started. And oftentimes I'll save these other ones. I'll like make them smart objects and put them away. But These two are my favorites. Okay, let's do this really fast. Hey, why not? There we have that. Right, we have these guys, right? Again, kind of fun. He's really stretching there, isn't he? Why is it not? You know, I should have just like restarted Photoshop. Do you ever realize that you've just like kept Photoshop open and your laptop turned on for like 5 days? You're like, I should probably do a restart. That's kind of where I'm at right now. So again, there's one. Here's one. This is actually Illustrator file, not to worry. I'm really into this one as well. This one has the mood I'm looking for. Remember, it's kind of just trudging through this landscape. Okay, so that's what we're going for. So let's just do a trim. Transparent pixels, since we've defined this image. You guys been there? Yep, Brandy's like, yep. It's like, I should probably resize. Okay, so this one fits the mood. The only thing I'm concerned about is like, these are blurry. So I gotta fix that. Not to worry, not that big of a deal. Oh, good Lord, this is driving me crazy. Go in here, remove background. As you guys know, that's typically where I start. There it is. Command J, shabam, shaboom. Yeah. Did it crop all these other? I think it did. Why can I not? I broke it. I cannot select. Okay. Things. All good. Let's do your job, Paul. Just get it done. That's what you're saying, right? Just get it done. Save this one out. And while I quickly close this down, so we have this one. Looks great. Let's save that. And then our original list. So, okay. Jumping out here, I will just kind of restart Photoshop and then show you some files where I've already kind of tackled this. Okay, so let's take a look. Compositing. Let's look at some compositing fun. I guess I like dealing with animals for some reason. The one I'm looking for, again, which I don't know why a butterfly is like a theme with me, but it is. Butterfly with buildings. Butterfly with buildings. Where is it? Well, okay. I must have thrown it away. Oh, here it is. It's literally called Butterfly City. Right? But to just show you, so again, dealing with size. Again, just a pretty straightforward example. We're not doing something that far off today. What I like about this is I like the blurring. I like this shallow depth of field and then blurring out a little bit of the wings and having this blur. And that's what this was. This was actually an example of using the different blurs in Photoshop. All right, go back out. There we are. Open that up. Let's get this started. Oh yeah, another thing I thought of is like, what if, and again, I feel like I've seen a lot of these concepts, but the whole idea of like a snail with like a jet engine on it, right? That's going really fast. So yeah, actually Turbo, the movie, the animated movie, was a lot like that. So no wonder that's not a new concept. Paul. Okay, here we are. We grabbed almost everything. Excuse me. Some of this I don't even need, by the way. I'm not even worried about cutting out all of this. Because you know what? We'll put this on top. This is going to be our, you know, foreground. Background. For here, heck, I know it's the foreground, and I want to remove the background. And again, we'll use this magic button. But bing, right? It almost gets everything. It does a pretty good job. From there, we'll use just quick selection tool to scroll over some of these extra elements, even down here. And, oops. There we go. Make it black. All right. So, background, snail. Before I start adjusting the size, I'll turn it into a smart object. Ooh, Bruce. Bruce, that's a great idea. This is, man, I love you guys. Such a good idea. So easy to animate. Like, so easy to animate. Like, I would split the, we'll talk about that later. Here's another thing I want to do. You know what I want to do? Is I want to put, I don't know if this will look good, but I'm thinking about, like, putting, like, a little town or a city. Like, there's a city on its back, right? And it's just a slow-moving snail. Or something like that. I don't know. That's what I'm just thinking out loud. Let's make our smart object. I'm gonna snail it. Let's snail it. There we go. Scale it down. Now that it's a smart object. In fact, you could be going along that ridge. All right, how you guys doing? You like the idea of the city? Okay, so Bruce, you like the idea of the city? Yeah, it just has to, like, I want to have, like, I think it's almost too simplistic to have just a, I don't know, just a snail. I think it'll be more fun. So, yeah, if you guys agree, let's do it. Brush, paint out some of this. You guys get the idea. Cleaning it up. I might put, like, part of him, like, on the land. So there we go. Yeah, like right in here. What if he's like right there? It's kind of like that. Sitting there, we're going to deal with these highlights, right? We'll put the city there. We're going to crop it. So let's just save that. Actually, smart object it. So much to do. We'll deal with composition as well. So much to do. Okay. But yeah, let's first kind of deal with this. And really, the reflection I would do very last, as the very last thing. So notice how I already knocked out all the sky and everything, but now I need to knock out some of the land. So the best way to have two layer masks is to have a smart object and then add a layer mask to that smart object. So that's what I'm doing. See? So easy. Bam. Let's put this snail. It's going to get a little more tricky. Let's think about this. Let's do it. Command J. That's right. Rasterize layer. Yeah, that's right. Take this. Shaboom. Shabah. Not the best idea, Paul. We're almost there. Take this. Command J. Put this on top. Guess what? We need just the... Bam. Like that. Delete. We just need the... What's the little feeler? Snail feeler. That's what we'll call it. We have the little snail feeler in front. So these little convincing uses of depth are really going to help us out a lot. Okay. Another thing that's going to help us out a lot is adding the shading in there. Norsh, you're right. Like wherever the snail is going, by the time he gets there, it already happened. Whatever it was, I'm sorry, little guy. Oh, you're showing up for the party? That was 3 years ago, you snail. You're like, don't be rude. You know I'm really fast since we're dealing with contrast today. Like that. Little shading right underneath, like so. Nice and tight. And we'll move it down a little bit. Okay. This is my life, figuring out what's what. Ah, figuring out that I need more of that. Figuring out I need to double click on this. And then also noting that I need to grab more of that land. I don't know if this is making sense. Feely fingers, his face fingers are in full effect. There it is. Notice I did not have all that land. There's all that land. And here's our snail. And now we're going to move this down a little bit more. Because again, we need to create that convincing bit of depth. Hey guys, hey, you know what? Make sure you never use the eraser. I'm kidding. Hey guys, know what? Make sure you never speak in absolutes. That's one thing I love about just like being a designer and a creative. There are very few absolutes. Like, don't tell me to not use the eraser. I know when to use the eraser. Don't tell me I always have to make a layer mask. Yeah, I delete pixels. Deal with it. All right, we got lucky with the color as well. Yeah, it kind of looks like a stick. Boom, it's land. Subha, how do you like that? Huge, just so big. It's a little precarious. I feel like he's too close. Like, I don't know, buddy. I'm just like, I'm a little concerned for this guy. So let's take him down maybe a touch. Right? Something kind of like that. Again, just taking him down a little bit in size. And also this is going to be cropped. Okay, so I'm going to crop this differently. Always, never. Man, you jerk. I hate absolutes. Oh, don't tell them. When you're young, starting out it is like you love to hear do this, don't do that. And then as you get older, you're like, well, there's so many levels of gray. So I hope it's okay that I say that. I don't know if you guys agree or not. Okay, so that's what we'll go with for now, right? Let's add our buildings. Guess what? I've already cut out a bunch of buildings, right? I'm no fool. I've done this before. Guess what? Is this cheating too much? Maybe so, all right? But again, I only have an hour. Sweepa? Is that how I say it? Sweepa? Awesome. So, yeah, I already have a number of elements already created, so I see them right in here, all my wonderful buildings. You know, maybe this is the right mood. I don't know. I like the rustic look. You know, like, they didn't have a lot of time. The big thing is I need to make sure these buildings would be the correct size for the landscape. So... like, here we go. Right down here. We see that sign. And we want that sign to be, like, in relation to the size of these buildings. Yeah, buddy, Wade, you've erased way more pixels than you've ever painted. I love it. I'm living dangerously into it. This is a case where you're like, okay, I'm working on multiple layers. I really don't know what's what. Like, where the heck is this? What is this? Well, you can hold down the Option key, click on the eyeball, and then it shows you. We'll just reveal that particular object. Another thing you do is double click on it. No, hold on. There we go. Option click. So this is what you do. You option click. It'll zoom to that object. You still can't tell what it is. Then do an option click on the eyeball, and then you can see exactly what that layer is. So again, option click on any layer will jump to that particular layer content. So again, hugely helpful. We can see everything like so. Let's build it and see what happens. Yeah, oh man, Wade, just attach your name to that because that is so well said. We want answers when we're learning, but we want paths when we're exploring. That's so well, I've never heard that before, and I absolutely love it. All right, let's get rid of the shadow and start playing with these houses. Like we're some sort of god. All right. And being a designer give you like a god complex at all? You're like, look at you, just like moving things around as if you're a god. What are you? You're crazy. And again, I'm not sure if I like this. I think it works. Let's turn off those flags for now. And then I have to think about wrapping this stuff around. So I use Puppet Warp a lot. In this case, I think we're just gonna warp this into place. That's right, in Photoshop, you're a god. Let's zoom in on this. It's like, hey, you want to lose 30 pounds in 30 days? Learn Photoshop. I'm kidding. I would never say that. By the way, as I adjust this, and maybe I'll turn off the other things, but like, you don't have to select each one of these Bezier points. You could actually click inside of the actual bounding box and move it that way. So again, we're gonna adjust, pull this down, right, and get that right, that correct perspective that we're looking for. Okay, pulling that in like so, and then grabbing, gosh. Oops. By the way, this is a smart object, so check this out. When I go back into Warp, oh, look at that. I have those controls still available to me. Okay, there we go. Moving that over. Kind of like that. That looks better. Okay, let's keep moving because I have 20 minutes. This one, Command click will allow me to select it, rotate it into place, move it up, right? See how that looks. In fact, what I need to do for this old house is remove some of this bottom part. There we go, kind of like that. And drop that into place. Let's unlink that. That's fine. Okay, cool. All right, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Let's just get this done. Move that up, create that depth, and yeah. Those two. We'll warp them into place. We want to really kind of make sure that we are following this part of the shell too. So warp it. Warp it, baby. Shoop. Push it up. Right? Still following that curve like so. Let me know if you guys have questions. Can I talk a little bit about the background as my background as a designer? Yes, I would love to. Who doesn't love talking about themselves? But no, I went to, yeah, I've always done art. I have a bunch of artwork upstairs that I was going through after I flooded my closet. I discovered all this artwork that I did as a kid, which was really exciting. And so, yeah, I was like kind of the art kid in school. And then I was like, hey, my parents were very supportive and said, hey, you know what? We didn't save any money for you to go to college, but yeah, maybe you can go to college. And I'm like, okay. And I went to Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design, didn't get a scholarship or anything. I just like went there, and it's here in Denver, Colorado. And that's kind of where I learned how to design. I graduated with an illustration degree back in '95. Back then, airbrush was cool. So upstairs is a bunch of airbrush artwork, believe it or not. And I used to think that was pretty sweet back in the day. But I was also the first person to use a computer in my technical illustration class. I was the very first person to submit an assignment that was for the technical illustration class that was done on the computer. Like the first person to do that. Everybody else was you'd use rapidograph pens for your technical illustrations. I did it in Adobe Illustrator, whatever version was available in '93 or whatever. So, so that's a thing that happened. And so for this, I graduated college a year before you were born. Oh, that's nice. I totally don't feel old now. But hey, that's life. Okay, so we're going to go into distort. Distort's going to allow me to just kind of give it some perspective. Because I decided I think this needs like some perspective maybe. And again, I'm struggling here, people. I'm struggling. Like, should be like that. Here, I just had a great idea that just dawned on me. Right, we'll undo this. We'll zoom out. We'll use one of my favorite tools, which is good old Pixel Squid, right? Yeah, I could show you my airbrush stuff. Yeah, I was one of the first people who got a job right out of college. I worked for an interactive television network. I did animation for the first couple of years using Cosa After Effects. So After Effects before it was even Company of Science and Art out of Boston, before Adobe bought them. And did animation, used Premiere Pro and After Effects and stuff like that. Perfect. So here's our buildings, right? Maybe I need buildings. Maybe I need, ooh, I like this one. That one's kind of nice. But could I incorporate some of these? Like, is this a better idea? Let's try this one, for instance. Again, style's different because I kind of have this old Wild West style, and this is more of a modern building. But that's the nice thing about Pixel Squid. Again, I can just come in here and like adjust the, oh, Jason Levine. That's right. Jason Levine's up next. He remembers Cosa. Jason, remember how Cosa had, in order to run After Effects, you needed what they called a dongle that went between your keyboard and your computer that basically said, hey, this license is correct. You can use Cosa because, yeah. It's your key, basically, to using After Effects. Oh, George watching from Pretoria, South Africa. Awesome. So again, don't you love Pixel Squid, right? Isn't that easy? We drop it in. We add that perspective that we need, and then we can try other objects. So again, add new object. And this time I'm going to search for house. So many. No. What is this? Oh, there it is. Boom, baby. That's what I need. So rather than me trying to fabricate all these different sides, I now have this house that I could potentially use. And again, just rotate it, get it into that sort of position, that angle that I want, like I'm doing now. And then, you know, positioning it into place, as you can see. Cool. Kosa After Effects. Jason, good seeing you, buddy. He is up next doing some amazing video stuff. Yeah. This is so funny that we used to do, to prevent piracy. That was a thing. The dongle. All right, taking a look at a couple more houses. Something with stilts, like this one, will be good. Again, we're playing with size today, talking about contrasts. We already did one design. This is our second design where we're dealing with sizes, large, small, right? Oh yeah, this is good too. This is what I'm talking about, right? I need something that's like on a stilt there. So this is gonna work out well. All right, shrink that down, hold on to that, turn off that building, and finally we have something that we're starting to like. And by the way, this happens all the time, Joanna. Like, you'll get so kind of focused on, you know, just putting layers together and adding stuff. Like, make sure you're taking an opportunity to just kind of like zoom out and see where this is at in terms of just it as a design as a whole, right? Because I think I'm way too close to this. I think the size is all off, quite frankly. I think things are getting a little squirrely. Oh yeah, but I am able to get this angle. Come on, do it. Bing. Come on now. That is awesome. And then even for this one, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it behind the snail. So clear down there at the bottom. That's where half this stuff can exist. So let's move the water tower, some of these other elements below everything else. So we're getting it. I think we're headed the right direction. Open to your feedback as my art directors. AE5, I think. Wow. So Reverb Mike, you remember this stuff too, huh? The good old days. You know, they're all good old days. And so if you had a time machine and went back and tried to relive them, you're like, this is horrible. How do I get around without a phone? That's probably what we think. Because we're that dependent on them. Okay, so that's kind of, I guess that's enough of kind of this part. Yeah. Is that okay? Let's come in, let's just paint out some of this. We need to add shadows and all sorts of things. Remember, all of our buildings are right in there. At least half of them. The other half are below. So let's just paint. Let's be aware of the light. Where's the light coming from here? Right? The lighting we lucked out with. But I think the shell needs to be a little darker. And I'll be able to blend it together a lot better. Looks like Jason's going to be doing some type. So text tiles and titles, sorry, and more transitions. Awesome. Jason, I love you. I love how Jason's self-proclaimed, like, doesn't know what font to pick. Because luckily, I think Premiere Pro and After Effects is kind of helpful with that. Especially Premiere Pro is what I'm thinking of. But anyways, I'm sure just like I am, I'm always open to font suggestions. And that's what makes the audience awesome. Is just having people to kind of guide you. Okay, so I'm playing with levels. I'm going to clip it to just the snail, right? So I'm just playing with the snail at this point. Already making it darker makes it fit much better. And then I'll apply some more techniques to this. Man, right, Wade? Okay, so that's a good point. I know Wade's talking about rendering. Rendering is kind of a huge deal. It's kind of the one reason why I'm glad I don't do 3D anymore. Because you're like, well, I think this is good. I guess I'll find out in 2 days or however long. Like, you'll find out the next morning. So that's a problem. Okay, so my favorite tip, and I'm so glad I have time to do this. 5 minutes. Let's do this really fast. I'm still going to use curves. My favorite tip, if you guys know me, been loving this. Using curves. Let's close that. I could try to like do all this jazz, trying to get it right? But what I want to do, and let's reset this. Option, click on auto. Find our dark light colors because we're changing the algorithm for the auto color correction options, right? So you have enhance, you have fine, dark, and light. Let's actually, yeah, fine, dark, and light colors is what I'm going to use. And from here, this is where we find our dark and light colors. So let's zoom out a touch and do it. And really the problem with these buildings is they're not warm enough. It's not even a contrast issue. It's more of a color issue. So shadows, bam. Midtones, bam. Awfully bright, awfully colorful. Yeah, this is okay. Highlights will be more blue. See that? All right. Well, there we go. Okay. Yeah, this just needs a lot of work. I apologize. Hue and saturation. Shifting the color. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Right? Just shifting it. Let's just see what happens. We just shift it a little bit. Just warm it up a little bit. Again, that's just one way of doing things. We need to do the same thing with all of these buildings, which is why we create a second group called buildings. Behind. That's technically what that is. Command J. Bring that down. Shaba. You get the idea. Come in here. Add some shadows. Let's work on those shadows, people. You like where I'm going with this? I would like to finish it, right? So that's what I want. But again, a lot of unnecessary pressure for me. Don't know why I do it. This is one way for adding shadows. I'm just painting with black. Is that best? Kind of the sign of an amateur. So, shame on me. Let's go into something like curves or levels. So we'll go to curves. That's going to give us a lot of flexibility. Take this down. And then be bewildered as to why. Pass through. Wait for it. Okay, so it's affecting everything. I just want it to, there we go. Affect the, so this is gonna be my curves shad. There we go. You can see how much darker that is. Yeah, because I'm playing with that a lot, right? Again, we kind of just need to make it a little bit darker. Let's just see what we get. Let's just see what we get. And I noticed my buildings need some love as well. Yeah, I'm just not going to get enough of this done. But typically, I would use curves and then add or remove from that curves layer. So now I can paint, and I'm not painting with black. I'm just adding darks to it, right? That's all I'm doing. The nice thing is I could always amp that up if you wanted to see it. But anyways, that's good enough for starters. As you can see, I'm down to my last minute. Hopefully you guys appreciated this. I thought it was fun, and I think this is the start of a great project. And again, don't forget that list I showed you guys of like contrasts, if you or opposites. You know, if you are in a jam, just think about sort of creating the opposite of whatever you're doing. And that's what people call creativity for some reason. Again, just the start. I'll work on this some more. Hopefully I'll get it posted sometime. But appreciate you, Brandy and Michelle and Bruce and Mercurial. All of you have been instrumental in this design. So you all get credit for it. If I could only be like make you guys proud and make something cool. So thank you so much. Thank you. It looks like Jason's up next, and that will be fun because that's where you learn how to animate this stuff ultimately. So that's the idea. Have fun, guys. We'll talk to you guys later. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and stay tuned for the final on social media. Thanks. See you. Bye.